Chapter 47. Matthias set up a solitary makeshift camp for the night. After a frugal meal, he wrapped his habit tight around his body to ward off the chill breeze, and settled down to sleep. Alone with his bitter thoughts about the ungrateful shrews, the young mouse finally dozed off. Sometime before dawn, he was aware of movement and sound nearby. Carefully, Matthias slitted one eyelid open. His feet were warm. He felt the extra weight of a blanket that had been draped over him while he was asleep. The guerrilla union of shrews were in Mossflower had returned. Small campfires had been lighted, and breakfast was being prepared. Matthias decided that it must be nearly daybreak. Turning on his side, he kept up the pretense of sleeping. Ignoring the presence of the shrews, he drifted back into a warm slumber. It was fully daylight when he reawakened. The sun beat down through the trees, mixing its rays with the purple-blue smoke of cooking fires. Log brought toasted wheat cake and a bowl of herb tea. Sitting up, Matthias accepted them noncommittally. He ate and drank in silence while Log folded the blankets and packed it away. The shrew stood beside him and gave a short, nervous cough. Matthias, I'm sorry about what happened yesterday. As you can see, we decided by majority vote to come along with you. The young mouse continued to ignore him. Log slumped down. Matthias, listen. We are shrews of the Union trying to run our lives along democratic lines. You must not think too harshly of us. The shrew who spoke out against accompanying you was only stating chapter and verse of the act. I was wrong to hit him. Galsum did right to uphold his argument. Matthias arose and shouldered his bundle. Look, Log, don't talk to me about your silly rules, subsection 3, paragraph 4, and all that nonsense. You are either with me or against me. I haven't got valuable time to waste on a lot of shrew union rules and disputes. Log picked up his pack and smiled broadly at the young mouse. Matthias, my friend, we are with you to a shrew, tooth, claw, and nail. Lead on, bold warrior. Matthias laughed in open relief. Well, let's get started, friend Log. We've got an adder to fight and a sword to win. Surrounded by a band of shrews that had started curling over the best route to his quarry, Matthias marched stolidly forwards. They trekked along the trees, leaving Mossflower Wood far behind, across open ground, giving the farmhouse a careful, wide berth, breaching hawthorn hedges and spanning dried-out ditches. There were several fields. They lay fallow in the summer stillness. A halt was called at lunch times on the banks of the slow, broad river. Matthias sat next to Galsum during the midday. It would be last cooked food that they would get. Stealth and secrecy would be the order of the day upon the other side of the river. No fires, no noise. Matthias flicked a pebble into the water. How are we supposed to cross this lot? Galsum spoke through a mouthful of bread. Log, how else? That's how he got his name, you know. His father and his father's father before him were all called Log. The whole family was all fairy shrews on this river. You need to cross a river? Then you stood on the brink and shouted, Log. Here, let's see if it works. Galsum walked to the river's edge. Cupping her paws around her mouth, she called in an undulating voice, Log. The older shrew appeared out of the reed bed, balancing upon a large floating tree trunk, which he propelled skillfully with a long pole into the side of the bank. Angrily he sprang ashore, upbraiding Galsum. Pudding-head shrew, do you have to broadcast the fact that we're here, shouting out like that, like a great foghorn? We best strike camp and get across now, before someone comes. I was only showing Matthias how to call a fairy shrew, Galsum muttered sturdily. Is that all? Said Log heartily. Then why didn't you show him the snake tracks in the mud there? Or didn't you notice them? Asmodeus passed there not 4 hours ago. He's probably gone hunting in Mossflower Wood. It's a mercy we didn't bump into him. He might come back this way before the day's through. Matthias stared in horrified fascination at the broad, slimy path that had been left in the mud by the snake. The shrews all clambered hastily aboard the strange craft. Hurry along, Matthias. All hands on deck, Log hissed. Despite the danger of the enterprise, the young mouse actually enjoyed the ride across the river on the tree trunk. Several of the shrews dug lines out of the pack and fished successfully, amassing quite a tidy little catch before the ferry nosed into the opposite bank with a general bump. The shrews disembarked, and Matthias helped Log-a-Log to conceal the fairy in some bulrushes. "I was thinking," Matthias mused, "do you suppose we could all hide somewhere? That way we might see Asmodeus return and track into his lair?" "That's exactly what I had planned myself," the shrew replied. If we spread out along the bank and remain hidden, then we'll stand a good chance of spotting Poison Teeth." "It's a good idea, but I see a drawback. Supposing the adder catches the scent of shrews. There's too many of us, and it's a distinct danger. Then again, it would be not better if we made our way to the quarry and waited there. Asmodeus is bound for home." "I wish it were that simple, my friend," Log-a-Log replied. "The land around the quarry offers no concealment. Too flat and bare. Poison Teeth is full of ancient cunning, too. He may have a secret entrance outside the quarry itself. I think it's best we wait here. I'll spread the comrades out in a line. We'll all keep watch." Throughout the long afternoon, Matthias lay hidden at the base of a lilac bush. He was within calling distance of the shrews secreted a short distance away, as they were of their neighbors further along. Fully a half a mile bank was covered in this fashion. Whoever spotted Asmodeus was reported, after letting 1 minute elapse, to Matthias. He was positioned roughly in the center of the line. Galsum and Log-a-Log were stationed at either flank. The blazing sun hung over the watchers like a fiery disk. Matthias kept his sight on the river and the ground in front of him, not daring to move, whether to eat, drink, or scratch. He was forced to endure the unwelcome attention of the inquisitive at their leisure. Often he would focus so hard that his imagination played tricks. A slight ripple upon the water or a vagrant breeze across the grass became Asmodeus. He would blink and reassure himself that it was only a product of his tensed mind. The young mouse lost track of time until he became aware of the sun starting to sink in the reddened sky, heralding the twilight. Surely the snake would pass this way soon. As complete darkness ascended, the shrew sneaked up through the grass and tapped Matthias' shoulder. "What's the matter? Has Asmodeus been sighted?" Matthias asked. The shrew pointed out along the flank and that Galsum heralded. "I don't know, Mouse. You better come for yourself. I'll go and get Log-a-Log." Matthias scrambled out from beneath the lilac. Something must have gone wrong. Throwing caution to the winds, he dashed along the riverbank. Other shrews left their hiding places and followed. Galsum was seated upon the open ground, her eyes wide with fright, teeth chattering madly, her whole body trembling like a leaf. Log-a-Log raced up, Matthias shouting to him. "Galsum's in a state of shock. Help me, let's get her into the water." Grabbing the Galsum between them, they rushed her into the shallows, ducking her head under the surface of the water. She came sputtering but coherent. "Giant Poison Teeth, the snake, Asmodeus. He was here. I didn't spot him until it was too late. He's taken Mingo, gave him the magic eyes, then bit him and dragged him off. Poor Mingo. Oh, it was horrible, horrible. I tell you, the rotten, filthy reptile." Galsum flung herself down sobbing into the grass. Log-a-Log pulled her roughly up to her feet. "Come on, don't lie there crying, shrew. The adder probably left a good wet trail for us to follow. Where did it happen?" Galsum ran shakingly some distance to the left. She pointed to the ground. "Right here. You can see the great slithering marks. Look." The evidence was quite clear. The wet path and the dry grass gleamed in the dark. They followed the trail with Matthias and Log-a-Log in the lead. It twisted and turned tortuously over small hillocks, through hedges and across fields. Even where the wetness stopped, there was a musty odor of death clinging to the ground. At the top of a small rise, Matthias dropped into a crouch, signaling everybody to do likewise. He pointed downwards. "Look, Log-a-Log, there." Spreading out beneath there was a vast disused quarry. It was as if some gigantic hand had scooped a great hole in the landscape. The shape was roughly oval. A steep red sandstone sides were terraced halfway along it with flat shelves. Pines of fallen snow were dotted around amid the defunct workings. The scat vagrants lent the quarry air of stark desolation. They lay on the edge of the pit, straining their eyes into the dark floor below. Steadily, Log-a-Log gave orders to the guerrilla shrews to retire back across the field, where they could rest and eat much-needed meal. Only he and Galsum remained at the edge of the quarry with Matthias, who settled any further debating by saying, I'm going down. There's for a good look, as soon as it's light." "If you must go, then we'll come with you," murmured Log-a-Log. Matthias shook his head. No, I cannot allow it. It's far too dangerous. Gasm, who was fully recovered, spoke out courageously. You cannot stop us, Matthias. You are not a Union member. Therefore, we are not under your command. Rules clearly state this, so the decision is out of your paws. We go. You and Logolog get some sleep. I'll take first sentry duty. The three friends slept in turns, relieving one another throughout the long watches of night hours. Matthias was on duty with the first fingers of dawn probed the quarry. What a difference the daylight made to the sinister nighttime appearance of the scene below. The sandstone ranged through a spectrum of pale sunlight gold, banded through an even shade of yellow, fawn, umber, brown, down to the dusky red sandstone that must have been hewn out of it distant ages ago to provide the mansions with material to build Redwall Abbey. He roused his companions to view the awesome spectacle. To think that all of this peaceful beauty would hide such cold evil, he breathed wonderingly. In silent Indian file, they began the descent. Going was not too hard. There was lots of handholds and steps, and the sandy rock was quite firm, not at all slippery. It took less than half an hour for the three friends to climb down. They stood together on the flat quarry floor, gazing around. Supposing Poison Teeth decides to hunt today, he whispered to Gasm. I've got a feeling he won't. Asmodeus got a full day's hunt in yesterday. With the unexpected bonus of old Mingo on his way home, he'll probably sleep through today and go out hunting tonight. So that gives us all day to find out where he is, added Matthias. Shall we look together or split up? Stick together, said Gasm, as she and Logolog drew their short rapers. Matthias took out his dagger. They started searching the quarry for possible holes or concealed entrance. The trio scoured the lower slopes, poking and prodding. They inspected underneath stunted bushes, turning over clumps of rock, clawing through huge slabs, always watching keenly for the telltale signs of the winding track of the adder. The silence was oppressive, and there was neither birdsong nor the hum of insects inside the sunken area. Having crisscrossed the floor, they progressed the middle terraces. Both the results were equally disappointing. All morning they had searched the quarry without any success. At midday, Logolog called halt. They sat on the flat table-shaped rock halfway up and stared at a hard-tack lunch followed by a canteen of water. It was not a cheerful meal. They each sat with their own thoughts. Finally, Gasm stood up, dusting her fur off. She clapped her paws together in a brisk manner, urging her companions to resume the task. Right, come on, you two. We've only got half a day left. Matthias and Logolog gathered up their packs and weapons, as Gasm leaned on the side of the narrow slab as she continued her summary. If we search around the top of this lip this afternoon, that only leaves us the hee! The echo of the cry hung up upon the still air. Gasm was gone. The narrow slab she had been leaning on again swung loosely on a pivot. They had found the entrance to the lair of Asmodeus Poison Teeth.